I was out in the Arizona desert this summer and it had me so parched, just like her. But don't get me wrong, it was a lot of fun and I even got to squeeze in a museum trip. So come with me to the Pheonix Art Museum while I kill some time before my flight home. I'm a fan of the clean, brutalist architecture of the building. I'm a sucker for large slabs of stone and minimalist interiors. And near the entrance we're greeted with this cool Keith Haring pyramid. Yayoi Kusami's Infinity Room was actually the initial reason I wanted to visit. It felt so magical in there. As long as the entrance curtain is kept closed and no one uses a phone light, the illusion and sensation of infinity stays well preserved. Nearby was the Philip C. Curtis and Landscapes of Arizona exhibition. Curtis was a resident of Arizona, and you can see how the desert and its spaciousness inspired his landscape scenes. I particularly love this broken down wagon and this cottonwood tree. And I'm sorry about the odd angle, it was the only way to video it without getting a massive amount of glare. Philip C. Curtis often painted people in his arid landscapes. They tend to have a slightly eerie, surrealist feel. As you can see, there's a lot going on and a lot of symbolism that I'm not yet familiar with and can only guess at. I like how his scenes are often set up as if on a theater stage. And let's take a moment to appreciate the tiny details in his art. This one is titled Farewell. Look how the girl on the train is leaving into some kind of panel-shaped portal as the family waves goodbye. Next, in the American Modern Wing, I came across this big, beautiful delight for the senses. It's by Joseph Stella, titled Flowers, Italy. This is the kind of art I wish I could be greeted by at home every day. I just want to stare at it and hug it, if that makes sense. A few steps away was Pink Abstraction by Georgia O'Keeffe. I'm happy to have seen at least one O'Keeffe since she was so inspired by the American Southwest, but perhaps more of her art is available at museums in New Mexico rather than Arizona. Lorser Feidelson is an artist I've never heard of, but immediately was attracted to his work at first glance. He worked in a few styles throughout his career, but this one is considered post-surrealism. I could stare at this for hours. What does it mean? I'll be real with you, I don't know. But it was beautiful. But I enjoyed trying to figure it out. Upstairs, I came across a little bit of fashion, to my surprise. I always feel a deep fascination at seeing old objects, but especially old wearable objects like these snazzy little heels. And when it comes to Alexander McQueen, I have always considered his work more art than fashion. I am a huge McQueen fangirl, and maybe should do a long-form video about him. This big, luscious painting from 1896 by Antonio Rizzi is titled Study in White, and it demanded its own wall. We see a young woman lounging in layers of luxurious fabrics and fur. She looks so bored, but also like she knows she's fabulous. I love how much texture and softness is in this at the same time. In a similar vibe, we have these little pastels by Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec. He could capture so much with such few lines. Oh, and this one really tickled my brain. I wish I could take it home. It's by Edouard Vuillard from 1908, titled Madame Lucy Hessel Working at a Dressmaker's Table. Look at all the scrumptious texture and impressionistic light. And finally, Kende Wiley, an American contemporary portrait painter from New York City. His work depicts modern-day urban Black people with references to European Old Masters paintings. I love how he's chosen to frame this series, named and referenced after 15th century Flemish master Hans Memling. I love how the men in his paintings are shown very masculine, but also are balanced out by retaining some amount of softness to them. And that's it for this museum trip. Now it's time to catch my flight and think about the next museum visit.